And we have a flyer with some numbers that I'm going to post up, different hospitals, if anybody see her, to call us. And this is her.
How have you spent your day?
Trying to get home from the city, because I work in Midtown, just trying to get home, getting my kids home together because they go to school near the airport. So, and then we got home and back into the city.
So it's now 14, 15 hours. It's what goes through your mind?
Confusion. We're hoping. We're talking to the command center, and they tell us they've heard about from 400 people. They're still waiting from 300. We got word that someone said that he's assured that she might have gotten out because there's people above those floors that has gotten out. So we're just hoping and praying.
What do you make of today? What happened to America?
Totally chaotic, and I never thought it would happen here. I can't believe I'm in New York. It feels like I'm someplace in the Mideast.
Roz, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
No problem.
Dana, that's what we have. There are 100, 500, 1,000 stories just like this here tonight. People looking for their loved ones.
Yeah.
Michael, thank you. Ernie Anastas and I in
we are
right here.
back on board.
Yeah.
We're going around, of course, and covering this story now about 14 hours after that deadly airstrike in New York City. And we do have a number of reports that we want to go to. First, we're going to check in with Amy Nuzzo.
Yeah, Amy actually was at a memorial early on in Hasbrook, New Jersey. Here's her story.
Hundreds of people have gathered here in Ridgewood, New Jersey tonight for a vigil and prayer service, an interfaith gathering that clergy leaders say is a show of solidarity and a call for God to be present on this tragic evening.
The opportunity for people to just pray together and in a very interfaith way express their desire for God to be present in our community tonight.
It was unclear tonight just how many in this Bergen County community lost loved ones in the devastating terrorist attacks, but everyone seems to have lost something. For children, a sense of innocence.
I almost started crying because it's just like so depressing that like lots of people had died this day. It's going to be remembered for a lot of years.
Ridgewood High School, like most schools in the town, made the announcements to students in the morning, and throughout the day, students who remained in class were called down to the principal's office one by one to try and contact their parents, many of whom worked at the World Trade Center.
I freaked out and went home because I thought my dad was on, he worked in the World Trade Center. I thought he worked there, but he found out he was on a plane, and pretty much everyone just left. It was just too like unsettling to stay. You couldn't deal with it. It was just widespread panic, basically.
The mayor announced that counselors have volunteered their services and will be on hand around the clock to counsel those in grief and shock.
I just, looked at the flag and started to cry. That's all. It's very sad. I can't talk, really.
It's comparable to Pearl Harbor. It's comparable to that because this is an attack on our soil. Attack directly to us, except these are civilians, these are innocent people. This isn't military. It's just the essence of evil.
So many of the people who came out here tonight have said that they're not here for any one person or persons, but for the entire community at large. They are grieving tonight. Presumably some of those most affected, those with loved ones who have not been accounted for, were too distraught to come out here tonight. Reporting from Ridgewood, New Jersey, Amy Nuzzo, CBS 2.
Thank you, Amy. As we see young and old alike, of course, today, pulling together those students talking about how they couldn't deal with the situation, and now the work begins, of course. Family, friends, just trying to help and trying to support each other through all of this.
Of course, people praying in New Jersey there, as you saw, as well as here in the city at St. Patrick's Cathedral all day long. People going inside, saying their prayers, including the governor. Pablo Guzman has been outside St. Patty's. Pablo.
You know, quiet here now, but earlier, as you said, Governor Pataki came by quite unexpectedly, and there's some cynics there who would say, well, you know, he knew that you were there. No, actually, he didn't. We were the only camera crew around by happenstance, and he slipped in. His people made it clear, look, he's not going in there, doesn't want any cameras in there. He's going in there privately. And I asked if we could have a moment afterwards, and he was gracious enough. He has obviously a lot of other things to do, and stopped and talked. And you didn't get that sense that there was some politician talking at you. There was a person, he brought his daughter with him, and they lost some people in what happened at the World Trade Center. There have been vignettes like that that will stay with those of us who observe them. A woman walking by here at 51st and 5th, an older woman listening on the radio, and as she walked by, tears just flowing from her eyes as she was listening to the radio, paused to make a stop in the church. Many people, you can imagine, all over this area stopping in mosques, synagogues, temples, churches. And we should remember that, as the mayor has pointed out, that each in their own way, stopping in their place of worship. There are many of us who would want to condemn one particular group because they look like those who perhaps maybe we think did this, but we should pause and stop. Because when the World Trade Center bomb happened the first time, I remember people thought back then, because there was a conflict at that time in Bosnia, well, it was the Bosnians. Turns out it wasn't the Bosnians. When the Oklahoma City explosion happened, well, it was the people who did the World Trade Center. And I remember some of the investigators, the terrorist task force team, people from the Marshals, the FBI, NYPD, who went there to assist because they were the experts in the World Trade Center bombing. And I had gotten to know many of them, called and said, we found out that it wasn't who we thought it was. It turned out to be one of us. It turned out to be somebody from a white separatist group. So you always have to wait until all of the facts are in, but certainly signs are pointing towards a certain place. And with that said, let me also say that one of the vignettes that will stay with me is when I was frozen at one time on the West Side Highway this morning and looked and heard some people cheering. We were all listening to radio reports, and there were 4 young men of a certain type, ethnic persuasion, one wearing a Jets jersey, by the way, in their 20s, and they were cheering, had the windows down, cheering because of what had happened. And I'll admit, I tried to find their license plate, but I couldn't make it out in the traffic. And you wonder what would have happened if they had been seen and surrounded by some other people who might have taken it upon themselves to mete out their own justice. Nothing that we want to encourage, but it is that kind of emotions that is being unleashed by what happened today. And so people come to the church and to the mosque and to the temples and to the synagogues and try to balance feelings of anger and of payback with a sense that there is a need here for some calm. I don't know if all those answers are found in places like this, but we seem to try. From St. Patrick's, Pablo Guzman, CBS 2.
Pablo, I understand, and a lot of people certainly are trying. We have been hearing so many different speeches tonight about strength and hope. Mayor Giuliani earlier tonight was talking about hope for finding many of those people alive. He did not, of course, walk away from the big question, and that is that the death toll will probably be extremely high. Right now, 6 fatalities, more than 2,000 are injured, 700 in the hospital, many critical right now. 200 firefighters are dead tonight, many of the department's top brass included. And, of course, a number of people have been unaccounted for. As we heard earlier, right now the lights are on in Lower Manhattan. Hundreds of pieces of equipment are moving in. The job is underway. They're looking for survivors. They're looking to do their job right now. And you talked about hope, Pablo, and that's exactly what the mayor and the governor and the president have all been talking about, that we stay the mark and we keep the strength and we move forward from here.
And, Ernie, I understand in about 4 minutes we are expected to hear once again from the mayor. In the meantime, we're going to go to the newsroom, and Hazel Sanchez. I understand, Hazel, you've been receiving a lot of phone calls from people from the scene.
That's right, Angela. Amidst all this tragedy, we are hearing about a possible glimmer of hope, word of possible survivors underneath the rubble of the World Trade Center. CNN and AP are reporting tonight that people that are possibly trapped in the World Trade Center are calling from their cell phones. They are calling using their personal cell phones, calling for help. We have no word yet if they're calling 911 or if they're making calls to their family. But again, CNN and AP reporting people that are possibly trapped in the World Trade Center calling from their cell phones, asking for help to get out of out from underneath that rubble. We can only pray that those are, in fact, survivors. And we, of course, will keep you updated on this developing story. We also want to update you on some of the closings in and around the city. Buildings south of Canal Street have been evacuated. Also, the Battery, Lincoln, and Holland tunnels are still closed. Subways or skipping stations south of Canal. Most subway service has resumed, but subway lines still affected are the 3 train, the C train, and the Q train. Also, New York City buses are operating above Houston Street, but they are still experiencing a few backups there, just so you know about that. Also, PATH trains are open in both directions. LIRR service is back to normal this evening. New Jersey Transit also has limited New York City service, and Metro North returns to a weekday schedule starting on Wednesday. Also, all airports are closed until at least noon tomorrow. Port Authority is reporting tomorrow, of course, will not be a normal commuting day. And last but not least, once again, we want to remind you that non-essential vehicles are banned south of 14th Street. And just one quick wrap up, just to mention again, the report coming out of CNN and AP tonight, they are reporting that there are possible survivors underneath the rubble of that scene that you see right there, the World Trade Center that collapsed earlier today. People possibly calling from their cell phones asking for assistance. We, of course, will keep you updated on this developing story. Back to you. Thank you, Hazel. Isn't that about the most encouraging news that we've been hearing in a long time, that the trap victims are actually making calls from their cell phones? You know this work is going to continue throughout the night and as long as it takes. There's a commitment here on the part of the city and the part of all the people who have really been part of this story. So we'll continue to follow this. We're going to go now to Mayor Rudy Giuliani, who is once again speaking to the city.
Who are alive. I do not know what condition they're in, but we are hopeful that we'll be able to rescue some more people. I have no idea how many others, but at least there's some hope that we'll be able to get some people out. We have been able to get 2 people out who have been identified as Port Authority police officers. I don't have their identities and I don't have their condition. That's the good news, and all night we'll keep trying to extricate people through tomorrow. And there are over 1,000, well over 1,000 rescue workers and emergency workers down there now. Could be 2,000. And the New York Police Department and the Fire Department, emergency services, the assistance that we've gotten from the National Guard, and if you go down there, you'll see fire departments from East Meadow and Belmore and northern New Jersey. And we really appreciate their efforts. It will be of great assistance all during the night. If you have questions that we can answer or try to answer, the number is 1-212-560-2730. That's 1-212-560-2730. I know that there's great concern over what the numbers of people lost are. We don't know the answer to that. The dimension will be very large. In terms of the people we're looking for, it's a couple of hundred firefighters and police officers, which is a staggering number. As far as the number of people in the building, that'll be in the thousands. But there's no way of knowing at this point, and we're going to keep praying and hoping that we save as many people as possible.
Mr. Mayor, there are reports that there are a group of survivors in the basement of the World Trade Center, that they have cell phones. They've been calling their relatives in Seattle to tell them precisely where they are, and that there's a group of NYPD police who are with them and alive and well. Do you know about that? I know that rescue effort's been going on for a couple of hours, yes.
Mayor, do you know anything about the report about the possible explosives that were found in New Jersey?
Yeah, I think the police commissioner was able to get information about that.
I just got a confirmation from the chief of detectives. He's reached out to the FBI. They have confirmed that someone has been stopped in New Jersey, 3 men in a van. However, there was no explosives in the van. All right, they're being held for questioning.
Where in New Jersey, sir? You know?
I can't say yet.
Okay.
Why were they stopped, and why do you think they're connected with this?
We can't tell at this point. It's between the FBI and the Port Authority. We just got the confirmation by phone after I left the last briefing.
Were they on the George Washington Bridge as they were heading through?
No, they weren't.
There were rumors
they in
that
the
there were
Meadowlands?
explosives. Well, where did those rumors come from, or why did that begin to circulate?
I can't tell
Are they in
you.
the Meadowlands, Police Commissioner?
Excuse me?
Are they in the Meadowlands?
It's my understanding, but we haven't confirmed that.
Do we know why they were stopped, sir?
Not yet.
Commissioner, can you tell us anything about the rescue of the 2 Port Authority officers or the ongoing effort with the people in the basement, where the Port Authority officers were pulled out of, or the details?
We can't say yet. It was Trinity and Church where the officers were that were just pulled out. The other people